Okay, good morning. Welcome to our commissioner meeting, first of the year of 2025. I'm Sam Carlson, and if we'll go around the room and everyone could introduce themselves.
Brian Bedord, Commissioner.
Steve Thompson, Road Department.
Melody Martinson, Choteau and Canfa.
Brian Colesworthy, County Planner.
Joe Dellwo, Commissioner.
Okay. The first thing on our agenda is minutes. We have minutes from December 19th.
Yep, I'd move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, have a move and second. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No road encroachments, I guess. Okay, that brings us to the reorganization of the board. And with that, I would make a motion to appoint Joe as chairman of the board for the next 2 years.
I'd second that motion.
Any further discussion about that?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe. With that, I'll turn things over to you.
Do we have to vote on it?
Oh, excuse me, we better vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Well, thank you, Sam.
and thank you, Joe.
So we need
Appreciate
to
it.
appoint a vice chair, and I would move to appoint you as the vice chair.
Okay,
I'd second that.
all right.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Okay, so I guess I get to run the meeting, huh?
Yep,
Thank you for that.
thank you.
Okay, we have our annual resolutions. First one is Resolution 2501, and it just sets the mileage and per diem that we have to do every year. So what's your,
I'd move to accept that.
I'd second.
okay, any further discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then we have 2502, and it's the resolution that we do every year to establish the fire season in Teton County.
I move to accept.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Mel, we can get you copies of these, but they're virtually identical to every year.
I think that Colin may have sent those to me, but I may grab copies before I leave just in
Okay,
case.
okay,
Okay,
Things have been kind of hectic on the email level lately.
understood. 2503, Resolution 2503, it establishes the regular meeting date for the commission board.
I'd move to accept.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Well, I know that this sets the meeting dates. I would like to have us take a look at discussing where we have meetings and when we have meetings, and possibly setting up an annual calendar.
And have meetings like in other towns?
Yeah, maybe move to other towns and
Okay.
share around a little bit.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. And I think we tried it once at one point, but
That
I
might
think
be
this would be a good idea.
a good thing to
Yeah.
revisit.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
come back and see what we get to.
Yeah, this resolution just has the first and third Thursdays of the month, and it doesn't,
And I'd suggest
Doesn't
we
lock
keep
us
those
in.
the same,
okay,
but look at some other dispersing around.
Spots, yeah,
okay, sounds good.
sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Resolution 2504 sets the office hours of Teton County, and they're virtually the same as last year.
I would move to accept those.
I'd second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Resolution 20. I read through these two and I missed it. Resolution 2505. She's got 2305. And it's the resolution setting the business hours for the clerk and recorder. in the extension of hours and additional duties.
So it's basically the same.
I think maybe we should table this one
Oh, okay.
because, and I read through these too, I missed it. It talks about the clerk and recorder being the elections
Election
administrator,
Oh, yeah.
and that is no longer the case, so I think we should table this one.
I move the
Okay.
table till the
I'll
next
second.
meeting.
Okay, we'll leave it on the table.
Okay.
Need a table.
That brings us to 2506. And it's the Justice of the Peace salary and the business hours for the Justice of the Peace. There's been no changes there.
Yeah, I would move to accept.
Yeah, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2507. And it's the requirements of public notice to be provided in the Acantha, and it's the same as we've done every year.
I move to accept it as read.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So those are our New Year's resolutions. And I'll put that other resolution on the next
Next
agenda.
agenda.
We'll have to talk to Paul about that.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the Pathways to Recognition Task Order. And Mel, you can have a copy of this. It's for $52,500.
What was it again, sorry?
Pathways to Recognition. And it involves a community health assessment and all that stuff that Melissa's been doing and is in the process of doing again.
What's the total again? Sorry.
$52,500.
Melissa
Moyer.
Moyer, thank you,
Department.
thank you.
Yep. So what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I would move to accept, or to approve that. And
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? I guess my only comment was it's another one of these DocuSign deals, Mel, and I DocuSigned it to go.
Oh, yeah, all right.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Then we have a DMV lease. And this is a lease for the room downstairs, and we provide it for free to the state of Montana so our constituents can have driver's licenses here and not have to go to Great Falls. And it's virtually the same as the other lease that we have had for the last 4 years. And I believe, Sam, you DocuSign this as well?
This came as a DocuSign too, and I signed it last week, so they should have that.
Okay.
What's the term of the lease, I mean, the length of the lease?
Oh,
It is 5 years, I believe.
I think so.
January 25 through December 31st, 29. And there's no charge to the state. We're just happy to be able to have our licensed people here.
That way people don't have to drive to Great Falls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries on the lease, and that brings us to, I had road report, then Randy Bogdan, and Randy is not gonna be here until the next meeting. That's my mistake, but he'll be here at next meeting, so we'll do the road report.
Okay. Just a quick summary of the season. The summer was pretty busy. We were running with a partial crew to begin with, and we've been building up on that. And it was mainly, just in summary, responding to the worst parts that we could get to in the county. And that was always a revolving list, just so people understand that. We got quite a few calls on that. And hopefully moving into next spring where our grader operators are ready to go and get out through the full county next year. That leads into the mowing season. We did have a couple of nice changes on that partway into the season. The county picked up 2 different rotary mowers, which are doing a good job on cutting up the kochia as well as the other weeds out there and the tall grass. which will allow the graders to get better access to the road ditches and pull up the old gravel. Our priorities, how we looked at that, was looking at the kochia alongside the roads was the main priority. Where it was terrible thick, it seemed to be mainly south of Choteau to Fairfield to the East County line and then up north. And that's where we put our priorities at. And as winter goes, if we do chinook off, our boom mower will be back out working even in this winter. And if we have to move it around parts of the county, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go where the access is available. As far as snow plowing, we're possibly looking at that in maybe a little bit different light, where we're going to send the graders to the worst areas. And that entails going out. I'll be out very early in the mornings after a storm, seeing what the snow did, talking to operators, and we have a fairly good spider web throughout the county as far as phone calls, as far as the depth of snow. You know, is the wind hitting here or is it hitting along the front? And just trying to respond to the worst areas first. On some of the folks that have called in, you know, if you got 4, 5, 6 inches of the road on the road, but you can still travel through it, you might not get hit as soon as you used to, because we're dealing with a foot or drifting snow in another part of the county. So trying to prioritize that a little bit. And with that program, our snowflake program is also increasing significantly. And so that puts us out reaching up into those folks' driveways as well. But the priorities, just so we can get it out there, would be the bus routes. We don't want anybody stranded out in the hills. The mail routes, working with the post offices there, waiting for a couple maps back yet. And then we've got the main thoroughfares for our emergency vehicles to get out, and then just building off of that. But we definitely don't want anybody stranded out there. Trying to respond as quick as we can to the drifting in calls. Some of these roads will drift back in 2 hours after we plow them, so it's really hard to cover a road 2 or 3 times the same day when we got over 1,400 miles to cover. Guys have been putting in some long hours, doing the best we can do, so kudos to those guys as far as getting out there and having to jump around. Working really well as a group as far as crossing over into different areas where the trouble spots are. So we just ask for patience. If the wind comes up, we can't get the whole county all within an hour. So one of the other deals we're dealing with is some of the missile-based roads. The treatment is wearing off of some of that, or it's not in there as deep as it should be. Have been in contact and on a tour with Malmstrom Air Force Base with their road department, and they're trying to get back to us with some answers as far as what the alternatives might be. Again, asking for some patience on that. If we find out that there won't be a newer treatment, we'll have to take it into our hands and make it the best that we can do. But Bellevue's been a hot spot, and there's another missile-based road to the south that's showing the same signs that the treatment isn't through the road. So that'll be an ongoing issue. We'll try to stay on that the best we can. Other than that, if there's an issue out there, please call in either to the office or to the work cell phone. And I've been trying to respond to every call that we get, and I think we're sitting pretty good that way.
Steve, would you take just a couple of quick seconds and explain the Snowflake program in case if people don't know what that is?
Yeah, yep. The Snowflake program, if there's a health issue as far as getting in and out or an emergency issue, you can fill out a form, and basically if you have the handicap sticker for your window in your vehicle, or if you can there's a real short form if you can get it filled out by your doctor. We will put you into the program. Basically, the Snowflake deal comes from, we'll actually have a Snowflake sticker. We'll put it on your mailbox or at the end of your driveway. And that helps our operators locate the right driveway. And we will plow up to your house and around. making sure that if there's an event or if you have a situation where you need to get out, your driveways are the priority right there along with the school bus routes or anything else. And I've got a separate map at the office with every one of them located specific directions to your place. So if one operator isn't available, all he has to do is look at that map and we can get another one shifted to that spot.
Sounds like a good program.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the only time that we plow private driveways, Mel, is if they're a member of this Operation Snowflake or if there is a medical emergency. We do go in and help people get out to assist the ambulance.
Steve, do we know how many approximately? 2 dozen?
I've got-
1 dozen?
I've got 20 on the map, roughly 20. I think it's at 19. We have some outstanding paperwork, and if those folks happen to see that, please get it into the
Okay.
department. It's not that we won't plow you that now that we know you're there, but we need the paperwork, paper trail, basically.
What are the phone numbers that you want people to call with road issues?
It would be start out with the main office up at the road department, and that'll go to my cell phone.
Okay.
You know, if Vicky's not up there, we're constantly checking that. I want to say my work cell phone 788-9277, I believe is what it is.
788-9287?
9277.
927.
But it'll go onto the machine.
It'll roll from.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't call my phone.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So, sorry about that. But my goal is to answer every phone call, and I think that we're probably 98-99% there. But when you're reporting a bad spot or your house location, please report the corresponding lanes and roads, because that's been an issue. Everybody says the location's different. So make sure you identify the lane and the road that you're nearest. If you just say 4th and 10th, there's a lot of those around,
Yes.
and we could end up in the wrong part of the county. So please add lanes and roads, would be great.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Steve?
Steve, are you at full staffing right now, or?
We're down one, and we do have a lot of young guys, and that's what we've been explaining on the phone, or new people, I should say. And so yesterday was a really good day with corresponding with Ponderay County, but just trying to figure it out. We have detailed maps, and the guys have been doing good. They're learning new areas, and I think we're ready for the first really good storm. I hope we are. Anyway.
Cue the wind.
Yeah.
So, Steve, if you're down one, what are there 9 grader operators right now?
There's 8
8.
actually road
Okay.
graders, yeah.
Okay.
And the other deal that happened in this storm, and I know we had calls day 2 of after the storm, it's just like any other piece of equipment. We took graders out, and on one day we had 3 of them down with computer issues because moisture was blowing in.
Sure.
T&E over in Great Falls was excellent. They got a guy right out, but we were down 3 to that and 1 welding issue. The 5th one was down. We had 5 graders out of 8 down for one day, the second day after the storm. And so there was a little bit of stress involved in that. But by the next day, 4 of those were back in action. So there's always stuff like that going on, and we've got to react to it.
Is that as a result, Joe, of not being able to turn over those graders on a 5-year or so
No,
many?
I don't think so. It's a result of all the technology that it's
Okay.
in all the new machines,
Yeah.
and it's not just in Teton County. I've talked to
Right.
other commissioners,
Okay.
and they've got so much technology.
When you get that little super fine snow, it gets into everything, and
Okay.
it
That's
just, I don't think it would matter the age of the grader at all.
Yeah.
That was really the first test, going from summer season to winter season.
Yeah.
So hopefully the bug showed up and we move on.
Smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Till spring. But that's just one of the things. So it's just no different than a farm or ranch. When you get that first hay field or first grain field, your issues are probably going
Find
to
all the
show up.
bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Steve. So Randy Bogdan will be here next meeting, and commission reports. We had that cattle petition submitted,
That's right.
and we needed 21,502, the owners of 21,502 cattle to sign the petition, which would enable us to go through the hearing process and go through that process. We received the petition, and we determined that there was 13,758 cattle represented by the owners on that petition. So and Luke Peebles is the one that brought it in.
Yes.
I gave Luke a copy of the petition and a copy of the numbers that we got from the Department of Revenue. So I am almost positive that he's gonna go through that process again and submit one to us next fall and try to go through that again.
13,000 what?
13,758. And we went through this, I don't know, 6 or 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and we had the same problem. The numbers of the owners didn't have enough numbers of the cattle to hit the 51%. So hopefully.
And that's the magic number, 51%.
Yeah. So, and also in my commission report, Lisa brought down the district court yearly count report, and I can give you a copy of that if you want.
Yeah.
And it's hanging right in there. It was 217 actions last year, and it's 2 years ago, and it's 218 last year. So it's really consistent on the numbers. And that's all I have for my commission report. Sam, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either.
And I would like to welcome Brian aboard. It's going to be
Yeah,
good.
welcome.
Yeah, so
Thank
we're always excited that people are willing to throw their hat in the ring. Okay, public comment?
Thank you to Clerk and Recorder Paula Jack Committee and you guys as commissioners. She reached out to the Choteau camp on the morning of our fire and dropped off food and said, commissioners are ready to help label the paper if they need to.
Yes, and we would do that.
We deeply, deeply appreciate
Very
that.
well.
Julie Brantley's, our letter in the paper, it is the heart of the community. I couldn't imagine this county without the paper.
Well, I hope that our goal for that not to be ever the case. We hope to be able to just rebuild in our building and.
Oh, and I was gonna, in the article, I saw the pictures of the acanthus in the books. We have them in our vault, and you're welcome.
Paula said that
You're welcome to use them if you have some that are damaged.
it's ironic that all of the bound copies of the Acantha up to June of 1964 were damaged in the flood because they were in the basement of the old Acantha building
Yep.
next to the post office, which filled to the floorboards with flood water.
Oh, yeah.
And so all of those are in my garage at home because they're caked with flood mud. You can still read them. They're just really nasty. And now all of the papers from 1965 to 2024 are basically in the same sort of disrepair. But the bound copies that you can see in that picture, Joe, they're smoky, but they're not damaged by water. But we had the most recent 5 years in the middle room that burned because we use them. Jeff goes back through every edition to see what were we reporting on, what were we advertising. Those are the ones that are in sad shape, but they're not completely destroyed either. So.
Yeah.
Well, if you need
Well,
access
we
to
do
them,
have
them.
they're right here at any
Yeah.
time, because oddly enough, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll go back and
Yeah, what did
have
we
to
do?
find stuff, and it's really nice that they're bound in the vault. So if you need any of that stuff, just call.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, public notices?
you.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, next meeting is February 6th, and I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank everyone for coming. Thank you, Steve. And thank you for